If you're starting to make good money in your business, but you feel like you're drowning in chaos, working more hours than ever, and watching your profits disappear as you grow, I'm about to show you how to scale intelligently without burning out or going broke. So, my name's Liu. I've helped thousands of people all over the world quit their 9 to 5 and start profitable product, service, and digital product businesses. And if you want to be my next success story, just click on the link in the description to learn how. So by the end of this video, you're going to have the exact framework that lets you grow your business while working less, keeping more profit, and maintaining your sanity, even if you already feel overwhelmed. So look, I have absolutely been where you are. When my business first hit 6 figures, I thought I was successful, but I was also working my ass off doing 70-hour weeks, which I actually really loved, by the way. I didn't have kids back then, but it totally wasn't sustainable in the long term, and I was just constantly stressed. So I've since built several multi-million dollar businesses, and I've learned that scaling the wrong way can actually destroy everything you've built, because you just get to this point where you feel so burnt out or you feel so stuck that you can't grow further. So scaling the right way can help you generate more money and also have more flexibility in your life. Now, I have supported many other entrepreneurs also facing this exact same challenge, and those who apply the tips that I'm about to share with you, they often experience much smoother and more consistent growth. So here's exactly what we're going to cover in this video. So first, I'm going to share with you the 5 most common scaling mistakes that can challenge both your business and your well-being. And then I'm going to give you my smart scaling framework for how to grow without the chaos. And finally, I will show you the exact systems that let you scale while working less. So let's start off with the 5 scaling mistakes that destroy businesses. Mistake number 1 is scaling revenues without scaling your systems. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs, they focus on bringing in more customers, but they don't put enough effort into setting up the right systems to actually support that. So what does that look like? It could look like your customer service quality dropping as you get busier, or maybe you're constantly putting out fires, or your simple tasks are taking really, really long because there's no processes, and actually you become the bottleneck for everything. So this actually happened to me when I was launching my gift box business. It was the 4th business that I've launched, and I launched it with $3,000 out of a home kitchen. So in the first week, I went and sent out 100 gift boxes to people on social media to promote, and I sent it out to sports stars, radio hosts, TV hosts, top influencers, and all of those people posted on their social media because the gift boxes were really fun. They were very Instagrammable. Now, the 6th week after we launched, I had accidentally sold 3,000 gift boxes, and those gift boxes were all meant to be dispatched on one day. So I did not have the space, I did not have the staff, I did not have the raw materials to make the gift boxes for those 3,000 orders to be dispatched in one day. I was like, what the heck, how am I going to do this? So we couldn't even pack in advance because there were fresh donuts and other perishable items that go into the gift boxes. So this situation actually turned into a complete disaster for me. So here's the fix. You're going to want to think just a little bit ahead, but without overwhelming yourself. So making sure your customer service can keep up, making sure you have the systems and processes in place so that you can keep scaling with efficiency. Now, I know it can feel a little bit hard to plan in advance because you don't know what you don't know, but I'm always thinking about my next step, and I'm actually lining up that next step right now. So mistake number 2 is hiring too fast or hiring too slow. Either you hire people you can't afford, or you wait too long and you end up burning out yourself. So here are some problems when hiring too fast. Hiring before you have consistent revenue to support salaries can put unnecessary pressure on your business. And also bringing on full-time employees when contractors would work just as well, it just creates an extra overhead. So I generally like to start someone off in my team that can do a few hours a week. Let's say a uni student that might be really flexible. And as you get busier, you could ramp up their hours. Now, here are some problems when hiring too slow. So you could end up trying doing everything yourself to save money, which is going to drain your energy. Now, I've met a lot of entrepreneurs where they just won't delegate anything to anyone. And as a result, they end up doing all the tasks they hate or all the tasks they're not good at, and they end up hating their business and they just quit. And now another problem when hiring too slow is holding out for that perfect candidate who's got all the experience and all the right skills. So instead, I would encourage you to move forward with someone who's just good enough to do the job. As long as they're hardworking, as long as they're driven, they can actually learn the skills on the job. Now, another problem that can arise, and I see often, is if you are avoiding delegating tasks because you think nobody can do them as well as you can, which is going to keep you stuck. So think about it. You are literally bound by how many hours a day you have. Now, the sweet spot is to hire when the cost of not hiring exceeds the cost of hiring. That's what I like to figure out. So, if you're losing out on $5,000 a month in opportunities because you're overwhelmed, spending $2,000 a month on help is actually profitable. Now, the very first person I hired was on a contractual basis, which just meant no set hours. So it was just as many hours as I had available, and it was also how many hours that they wanted. So if they wanted more hours, I'd try to give them more hours. And they helped me do things like reply to customer emails, pack orders, anything else I sort of needed help with. And as we got busier, their role became more defined, and then I was able to give them a permanent role and also hire another and another and another. And when you have a startup, there is only going to be 2 or 3 of you. So you're all going to be juggling multiple roles and tasks, so the people that you hire have to be okay with that. So mistake number 3 is scaling complexity instead of simplicity. This is such a good one. So a lot of people, they like to add more products and more services and more features instead of actually perfecting what is already working. So here's what this could look like. Launching new products before optimizing existing ones, adding features customers don't really want and don't really need, or serving too many customer types and complicating your business model. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say somebody was making around 30 grand a month from one core product or service, and things were going pretty well, but instead of doubling down and scaling on what was already working, they decided to launch 4 new products and services. So the result? Their revenue actually stayed the same, but they became much less efficient and the workload tripled because now they're doing a bunch of different things. They also didn't know which product to promote to their audience. Their messaging was now all different because they had all these different products. So here's the fix. To scale your depth before width. Perfect one thing and then add complexity only when that first thing is running really smoothly. So mistake number 4 is ignoring unit economics. So let me explain this one. One of the biggest mistakes I see is focusing on growing revenue when profit margins are slowly shrinking or disappearing completely. So this can often happen when it costs more to get a customer than what they're worth, or when your business expenses are growing faster than sales, or when pricing doesn't match how complicated things have become, and then there's no clear idea of how much profit is actually being made per sale. So if you're not watching these things closely, they can quietly drain your business. And the reality check is growing from 10K to 100K months means absolutely nothing if your profit drops from 50% to 10% because now you're working 10 times harder for less money. So mistake number 5 is scaling your stress instead of your systems. And this happens when you take on more and more and more and more responsibility instead of building systems that reduce how involved you actually need to be. So it usually looks like this. You, as the business owner, are involved in every little decision, and your team is constantly waiting on your approval. You're working longer hours as the business grows, and you just can't take a proper break without everything falling apart. Now, this is the classic entrepreneur trap. You start a business for the freedom, but you end up creating a job that's even more demanding than the one that you left. So here's what to do about it. This is my SMART scaling framework, and it consists of 4 things. So pillar number 1 is systems before scale. So that means building the foundation to handle more volume before you try to hit those numbers. For example, if you know your cash flow is getting tight, you might start reaching out to banks for an overdraft or line up some sort of funding in case you need it to grow. Even if you don't need it right now, you want to line it up. Let's say your inventory is getting pretty low. You want to place the next order in advance, maybe do some forecasting. Essentially, you just want to be prepared rather than taking action when it's already too late. So pillar number 2 is delegate before you're desperate. So you want to start handing things off when, let's say, you're around 70% capacity, not when you're already drowning at 120%. Because just remember, there's also some time that's going to need to take to train this person and onboard this person. Now think of delegation like a ladder. So firstly, letting go of simple admin tasks like basic customer support or printing orders. Next, you can also delegate things like marketing and content or video editing and scheduling, that kind of thing. And after that, it is the sales and lead generation, like finding new clients or running your ads. And finally, once you've built real trust in your team, you can start sharing bigger picture responsibilities like strategic decisions and partnerships. Now, delegating doesn't mean you need to fully let go, all of you control freaks out there. I also like to oversee every part of my business, but you shouldn't be doing the day-to-day tasks. Now, pillar number 3 is optimizing before you expand. So in other words, get your current offer working really, really well, like a well-oiled machine, before you go out there and start adding new ones. So here's what that looks like. I would start by gradually increasing your prices until there's some sort of pushback. And then I would improve how you deliver your service to boost profit margins, focusing on making the customer experience so good that people just want to stick around, and also look for ways to simplify your operations to cut unnecessary costs. Now, a good rule to follow is the 10% rule. So before launching anything, aim to make your current offer just 10% better. And that small improvement often brings bigger results than starting from scratch with something completely new. Now, pillar number 4 is measuring what matters. So this one is focusing on the numbers that really affect your business, not just the ones that look impressive. So pay attention to profit, not just the revenue. And also keep an eye on how long it takes to deliver your service, since improving efficiency means more time and money is going to be saved. So when I was selling my gift boxes, I noticed they were taking a long time to pack. So we looked at how we could optimize that to reduce the labor costs involved by simplifying the items that were going to the gift boxes. Now, I want to move on to the mindset shifts required for healthy scaling. So going from control to trust. You can't scale if you need to control everything. Just think about that. You need to learn to trust systems and people. Going from perfect to good enough. So perfectionism also kills scaling. So good enough, done consistently, actually beats perfect, done occasionally. Going from busy to productive. So being busy doesn't mean being productive. I would just focus on the outcomes and not your activities. And going from reactive to proactive. So stop putting out fires and start preventing them with better systems and just thinking ahead. Now let's finish up with this. Here are some warning signs if you're scaling wrong. Working more hours as revenue increases, your profit margins decreasing as you grow, customer satisfaction dropping, and constantly feeling stressed and overwhelmed or not being able to take time off without any problems. And here are some signs that you are scaling the right way. So working the same or fewer hours as your revenue increases, your profit margins stabilize or they're increasing, your customer satisfaction is improving, and feeling more confident and in control. And you can also take time without the business suffering. So look, if you are ready to scale your business the smart way, growing your income while protecting your sanity and your profits, I want to help you build the systems and make it all possible. So I have a mentorship program where I work directly with business owners to scale their product, service, or digital product business. I've already helped thousands of people around the world to grow. If you like the idea of working one-on-one with me, click the link in the description and I'm going to help you scale. And remember, the goal isn't just to build a bigger business. It's actually to build a business that serves you and doesn't enslave you.